being a kid from 5 all the way up to 17 years old, followed Carlton, went to the footy with Mum, Nan and Arnie watching them out at Princes Park. Lucky enough to go to a couple of grand finals, to experience that out on MCG on that one day in September, the last weekend of September, was just a great experience. And coming from where I've came from in terms of Fitzroy, where finals wasn't the goal for us, it was just win games, and then to actually get in that position to actually sit out on the ground and actually be in a position to actually go against another team and actually being able to hold that cup at the end of the day is a childhood dream, because it was something that I always dreamt of and never was sure, especially in the early days of my career, whether I was going to be able to get that opportunity. And it was funny enough that the opportunity come to the forefront, and I was there with a couple of guys that I hold very close friendships with.
Number 2, Chris Johnson. Number 4, Craig McRae.
Is this really happening? I can't believe it. You sit in your room, your hotel room leading up to the game. What happens if we win? What happens if we lose? But then once you actually win, it's like, oh my God, we've actually done this. We've actually won. We've come from Queensland, where we created history. We're the first Brisbane team to actually win. You look around and you see groups of people, groups of teammates everywhere, and then they come back in together and sing the song with support staff and all these sorts of things. It's a lot of emotions. It's very hard to explain. That there's a lot of things that run through your mind, and it's just unrealistic until you actually get the medal and you actually calm down a little bit and actually realise what you've achieved. That's when it really sinks in, and when you see your family in the rooms after the game and these sorts of things. It was quite rewarding. He was a fantastic coach. He was a good learner. And for myself, personally, I took a lot out of Lee. Brought me from an average player up to a good player. There was coaches beforehand, made things very simple, made the game very easy rather than complicated for myself. He was, and I've said it a number of times, that his ability to actually sum up the game in the moment was extraordinary, and he's able to do that now. You hear him commentating on TV, and he sums up the game very easily. And and you listen to him, and if you carry it out, you're more chances of winning games. And his ability to do that makes him probably one of the best, or the best coach that I've ever been coached under. When he first came to the club, he was about the yelling and screaming and all those sorts of things. But I think as 2000 and then 2001, he really mellowed out, and using our sports psychologist there, he worked out that yelling and screaming doesn't always get the message across. Be able to talk calmly and talk in a precise manner. Lee figured out that he got more out of us that way, rather than talk to us in not disrespect, but sort of yell and scream when you don't even know what you're talking about when you yell and scream. And he was able to do that and get the message across very clear with a calm voice. And we took it on board and went and done that many a times through the 2001 season, that we're down at three-quarter time, and he just summed it up and just said, "Look, boys, this is what you got to do to win. You do it, you win." And we go out and execute it, and we get across the line. Some people try to complicate the game. Lee was just more about what we had to do rather than what they worrying about them so much. Lee's was always 98% what we're going to do and 2% of what the opposition are going to do. Brad and Chris are very easy to tell apart once you've spent a fair bit of time with them. Obviously playing, us three playing against each other through under-18s and through the whole AFL careers, it's pretty easy to tell them apart. Certainly two different personalities as well. Brad, very down to earth and very switched on with his footy. Not so much of an enforcer. Chris, very much an enforcer and a great guy as well, and very good football knowledge as well. So one was more of an enforcer, and the other one wasn't so much of an enforcer. But when you got them both on the ground, they were both the same. They were both really enforcers. So That's how I could tell them apart. And there's some fundamental features on them that you can tell them apart as well.
Tell us about it.
Well, obviously they're one of Chris's nicknames that Brad gives him is Nugget. So Chris is a bit more nuggety, and Brad's a bit more thinner and a bit more taller. I'd like to say, but don't want to say too much. They might give me a clip on the ear next time I see him. When it did hit the ground and actually sink in, it was we actually went done the lap of honour, sang the song out in the middle. Obviously, we knew that. We had to go into the coach still had to give his last address to the 22 players plus the coaching staff. So we went into the meeting room, and we had a great experience. We sat in there for about an hour. We didn't come out for an hour, and everyone was getting a bit frustrated outside. When are we coming out? But we sat in a big circle and spoke about, and went around the circle and spoke about to the guy to the left of us. We had to say a couple of things, what we loved about the guy and what we loved about him off the field and on the field. I think Justin Lepage came up with the idea, and we got some beers in as well, and we sat around and we just went around and we spoke about every individual and coaches as well, and that's something that sticks in my mind for a long time, and I still use that as a tool with my work that I do now with the Indigenous kids in the AFL here. So it was a great moment, and to talk about and actually have that time, because we knew once we walked out that door that we're going to be mobbed with family and not being able to sit down again and be able to experience that moment again. So it was something that sticks with me for a long, long time.